did have to go potty. She lets me know by getting down off her seat. I had to go potty. The most disgusting bathroom. It's like somebody had an explosion in that toilet and it hasn't been cleaned in I don't know when. So I just cleaned the surface off as best I could. This is why I prefer my bucket and bag. It's disinfected. It is always clean. Anyway, I put a little antifreeze in tank and checked its oil and got gas. So back to husband number one. He convinced me to go back to him because I found out that I was pregnant. I found out after I'd already filed for a divorce. The way I found out was I got a job with this bank and they sent me for a physical. Now, why the doctor gave me a pregnancy test, I really don't know. But I've always been irregular in the lady stuff, okay? I'll have one, skip two, have two or three, skip a couple. So, always irregular. But I did go back to him. He said, you know, Deborah Joy, this is my baby. And it's not your parents' responsibility. Well, he was right about that, y'all. So I went back to him. We went back to Arizona. And life was terrible. We lived in a little tiny apartment, which was okay. And I had my little Volkswagen station wagon that was orange that my friends called the hot dog. And so when I moved out there with him, I took my big Ethan Allen rocking chair that my dad had bought for me. He bought it off a guy that had it in the back of his pickup truck. But anyway, so I took that and I took my clothes. It was not pleasant. So one evening I was laying in bed and I was about 4 months pregnant. And he started an argument with me. And of course, it was about the lack of physical relationship. He knew. I told him up front that was not going to be a part of our marriage anymore. Of course, he said it was okay. Well, he got angry and he jumped on top of me and he was sitting on my stomach and he proceeded to slap me in the face. Well, he finally stopped, got off of me. The next morning, as soon as he left for work, I packed up my stuff. Packed up my little hot dog, and the neighbor came over and helped me to get the rocking chair downstairs and put it in the back of my car. Just before I was ready to leave, Joe showed up. He knew I was going to leave him. He grabbed me by the arm, and thank the good Lord, my neighbor was standing out on his little front porch. And he came over and he said, you better let go of the lady. Now this man was big, and Joe was 5'7", maybe 140 pounds. So he didn't have a choice. He let go of me. And I got in my car and drove off. and I looked in the rearview mirror, and there he was in his little pickup truck, following me. Now, this man was a stalker, y'all. Anytime I was not with him, he followed me everywhere. Well, I was scared. I was scared. I finally had to stop and get gas. And he pulled over probably 20 feet behind me. Let me get my gas, and we got back on the road. He followed me all the way back home. I finally got to my parents' house, and he turned around and left. He had to go back to work. He would have lost his job. So that was it for me, y'all. I was done. You do not lay a hand on me, especially when I am pregnant. So I never look back. Now, the other good reason that I left that man is because I used to think about really hurting him in his sleep. I mean, seriously, y'all. Seriously. I thought about hurting him really bad. Now, one of two things would have happened if I'd have done that. I would have hurt him bad enough that I would have gone to prison. Or, the second thing is I wouldn't have hurt him bad enough and he would have killed me. Now, later on, after I had the baby, that divorce cost me $17. It was through legal aid. Now, he kept taking me to court to try to prove that I was an unfit mother. He took me 3 times. The third time, hey, we're in Oregon. The third time, and we kept going before the same judge, y'all. He told Joe, he goes, you know what? It's not this baby that you want. You think that if you have the baby that she is going to come back to you. And I promise you, I've heard the story, and she will never come back to you. So you need to leave her alone, and don't you ever come back into my court again. So that was the end of him trying to prove that I was an unfit mother. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't swear, I didn't do anything. I was a good mommy. Now, he never really had a relationship with his son. He would get him every once in a while. Now, his mother, she was an angel, and she loved her grandbaby, loved him, and she used to keep him alive. She would call me and say, Deborah Joy, do you think I could have the baby for a little while? I could never tell her no, never. She loved him so much. So, he kind of stayed out of my life for quite a while. And then one day, I was going to go across the state line to Oklahoma, and I was just going to be gone overnight, and I was going to come back the next day. So my girlfriend that was staying with me at the time was going to keep him for me. And I told her, I said, don't get out and be running around town. She had my car. I said, if you need to go somewhere, go out to my parents' house. Well, he heard that I was out of town, and she went to her sister's house. As she was getting ready to leave, Joe pulled in behind her so she couldn't get out. And he walked over to the window. She had her window up because it was hot. She had the air conditioner on. And he was talking to her. So she rolled her window down a couple of inches so she could hear him better. He tore the window out of my car and took my baby. It took me 2 weeks to get him back. I could not go to the bathroom, y'all, without him crawling in there with me. He was 10 months old. He was so afraid. I never did find out who had him, who was keeping him. But let me tell you, I went over to his mother's house. He was living with her. She had no idea where my baby was. I took bricks and I broke out every window in that man's pickup truck. Then I went over to his aunt and uncle's house, and I was standing at the door, and I just knew that they had him. Aunt Thelma said no. They did not have him. They didn't know where he was. And I was yelling. Well, Uncle Buck raised his fist to me, and Aunt Thelma grabbed his arm, or he would have knocked me out. He was a big man. I got arrested for disturbing the peace. Go figure, somebody takes your 10-month-old baby and you're not going to disturb the peace? Oh, hell no. So they picked me up, took me to jail. Wasn't the first time I'd gone. Due to my little brother, not myself. But anyway, they let me go. They said, please just show up for court, okay? So I said, sure, I'll show up. And when I did, the judge just threw it out. He said, you people ought to know better. This woman lost her baby. So anyway, I got my baby back. Took 2 weeks, but I got him back. So that's pretty much the end of that, y'all. But I can tell you right now, not one other person, man or woman, ever laid a hand on me again. And they better not ever. Because when your back is turned, you're going to get it. That's why I feel so strongly about people in an abusive relationship. Do not put up with it. They are not going to stop. And it gets worse and worse, y'all. And it can run over into your children. Now, I think Joe probably witnessed some abuse toward his mother. I never met his dad. His father was not in the picture at all. But that's no excuse. Anyway, that was husband number 1. And you would think that I would never do it again. But y'all know, that's not the end. That's it for this one, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.